Tonight, we present a double feature built around stories of immigration, sports, culture, and economy. We began with Sugar, directed by Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck, followed by En el Séptimo Día, On the Seventh Day, directed by Jim McKay. En el Séptimo Día is the first of two films directed by Jim McKay that are included in this series, and we're looking forward to hosting Jim McKay in person on June 26th, following a discussion of his film, Our Song. So tonight, we are thrilled to have as our guest the star of Sugar, Algenis Perez Soto, who will join me on stage for a Q&A following the screening. But I want to acknowledge him right now. Algenis, if you could just raise your hand and wave to everybody who's right there. I think you are about to experience, if you haven't seen the film yet, or if you haven't seen the film on the big screen in a what I'm told is a gorgeous 35mm print, Algenis gives an absolute powerhouse performance, particularly remarkable for it being his first film. And we are so honored and thrilled to have him here with us for a conversation after the film. So with that, please turn off all your cell phones, please leave your masks on throughout the film, and enjoy Sugar. So, born and raised in the Dominican Republic, our special guest tonight made his feature film debut in tonight's film Sugar, and most recently has starred in Broken Island and in Captain Marvel as Atlas. Please help me welcome to the stage Algenis Perez Soto. You may, if you like, yes. Yes, you can. Ooh, there we go. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. So I have a few questions, then we'll turn it over for the audience. We have our theater staff will have mics, so wait for the mic to come to you. They'll bring a mic to you and ask the question. We'll go from there. So Algenis, thank you again for joining us. I just want to say that is one of my all-time favorite endings. The final sequence of that film in the field and where you're introducing the other players. It's like the greatest. Every time I see it, I'm like, it's like a heartwarming ending for a film that has a lot of ups and downs. But it also is one of my favorite endings because the film ends on your face, and it's almost like the whole story of Miguel's journeys in your face in that moment. And so this is a really epic film that goes from Dominican Republic to the Midwest of America to New York. It goes from the farm leagues to the minor leagues to almost to the major leagues. But in a way, it also never leaves Miguel's head. The whole film is your face, your expressions. I want to talk a little bit about how you first met Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck, but I want to talk to you first about how did you feel about getting this role, and how did you prepare for this knowing that you were basically carrying this whole movie?
Well, I'm really glad that you like that ending. I've heard a lot of people say that, why the ending, like that, because they were expecting me to be throwing like fastballs like in the knuckle curve and in the Yankee Stadium, but I think that was the ending, like that the movie really needed. Yeah. Yeah. And I met Anna Boden, Ryan Fleck in the Dominican Republic, of course, because the first time I came to this country was to work in this movie. And they went to Dominican Republic and they were seeing a lot of guys because they were looking for this character, Miguel. And they were interviewing a lot of guys in the baseball fields everywhere, and then they finally saw me because the story is that they saw my brother first. He was working out at a gym, and they saw him, and they were like, would you come tomorrow, so we can see you for an audition for a movie? And my brother was studying to be a doctor, so he's a doctor right now. And then he said, no, I don't have time for that, but I have a brother that he looks more like a baseball player than I do. Mm-hmm. And then he told me when he got home, he told me this is what's happening. So tomorrow, 2 p.m., like they're gonna be in this location, and I was like, okay, we'll go. I don't care, Then the next day, the same day that they had the audition, we had a softball game. Mm-hmm. And then it was like across the street from the place they were gonna have their audition. And then after that, like when I realized that we are gonna play ball, I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to any casting because that's not what I do. I'm not gonna be wasting my time. So I'm just gonna go play. And then after that, when they were done with their casting, their auditions they were doing, they came over to the field where we were playing, which was across the street. And my brother told me, "Look, these are the people I told you. You didn't go." I'm like, "Okay, we can do it now if they want to, you know." And then they came over. They asked me a few questions. They gave me a number. You know what? I was like 452.
Yeah, I read in an interview. Ryan said that they remember that number. You were the 452nd person they had talked to for this
Yes,
role.
exactly, because they were looking for this character. Because you know the previous movie they made, they found their character that way, you know, and it was fast, you know. So they said, you know what, let's do the same with this movie. So when they went to DR, it wasn't working. You know, they have like almost 500 people, and they haven't found their character. You know, so it was amazing. They asked me. Anna Boden asked me if I wanted to be an actor. I said, yeah, okay, you know, but I was not really, I wasn't interested because you know that in reality, like I'm very like I can say a little bit like shy, a little bit shy, you know, like um, and then and then I remember that they gave me a dialogue, you know, they gave me a page like, oh, could you come tomorrow, like so we can see you on camera doing something. I'm like, okay, whatever, you know. So the next day they when I had to be there, I called my brother, are you going to the audition? He said, no, 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 I'm not coming. I said, okay, I'm not coming either then. And then, you know, it seems like that was chased to me because, you know, then she was texting me like, oh, are you coming? We're waiting for you. I'm like, yeah, yeah. But then I was like, bro, I'm not, I don't want to go there. You know, I was a little nervous about it. Yeah. And then I decided to go, you know, then when I got there were like three, four other guys, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna be last. I told them. They said, no, 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 you're gonna be first. I'm like, okay, but why should I? Why do I have to be the first one? You know? And then after that, I told them, listen, I've never done this before, so it's my first time doing it. They said, don't worry, that's what we're looking for. And then you know after that everything worked out perfectly, and it was amazing to work with them because they were so patient with me, you know, and they were so good directing me and guiding me, you know. So I fell in love with the acting career, something that I've never really thought I would be doing ever in my life.
It's an extraordinary story, it's a really amazing performance. So yeah, I read that they had spoken to 452 people, and then they finally found you. And in an interview, Ryan said that they knew you could carry this movie. They had total confidence in you that you could carry the movie all the way through. You said you were a little bit nervous going to the audition. You'd never done this before. When and how did you feel like? When and how did you find your confidence as an actor, as a performer in this film, and how did Anna and Ryan help you get there, if they did?
You know, we were rehearsing a lot, and I remember that I asked Anna like, "Is the movie gonna be good?" You know, because I didn't know like I didn't know them, and I was like, you know, I don't want my face to be in the worst movie ever, you know? Like I was a little worried about that. Like I was not an actor, but I want to make sure that I was not, that my face was not on the cover of the worst movie ever, you know, like on the list on YouTube or something like that. And then you know, she told me we're gonna know if the movie is good when people see you in the movie thinking and they know what you're thinking. I'm like, how am I gonna do that? Like without saying a word. And you know, I trust them. You know, like apparently they trust me. Like so, it was crazy, but I really enjoyed the film. So, for them to think that I could like be their lead actor in their film, you know, like it was something special, and I appreciate it, and I'm very thankful with the Lord, and them like for giving me the opportunity.
Well, I mean, the inner life of Miguel's character comes through in your face throughout the film, the highs and the lows, and which is why it's so amazing that the film ends in a close up of your face. It's because you, like I said, you see the whole film sort of play out across. You're coming to terms with where you ended up where Miguel ended up in that film. But it's also I want to ask you a bit about this. It wasn't just learning the performance and expressing that inner life that you have, but you also had to learn to pitch. Did you have to? What was that process like?
Yes, I used to play baseball before. My whole life, I used to play baseball, but I never pitched before. Right. So for the movie, I was training with Jose Rijo. He was a World Series MVP. He was a pitcher for the Cincinnati Reds, and they were teaching me like the technique and all that. Because I used to play baseball before, but I was shortstop. I used to play infield, like shortstop, second base. And I was training for like almost 2 months before we started shooting the movie. Right. So yeah, that was my process of learning the mechanic. And I remember I was pitching so much in DR, like sequences, that by the time we traveled to Iowa to film like the next part of the movie, like I couldn't lift my arm. Sure. Like I was having problems in my muscles, like in my shoulders, my tendons and all that. Right. And they had to give me like a lot of therapy before I could do it again. But I was like, I couldn't even lift my arm like this high because it was very tense, I guess.
But in the film, you have a foot injury, which is sort of
no, the foot injury. That was the
so
script.
This is a general question about. You said your brother wanted to be a doctor, and he's now a doctor. And you played baseball, but and now you're an actor. In the film, obviously the baseball is a huge part of the film. Obviously, that's what its focus is. And when Miguel's character is brought up to the minor leagues, there's a big celebration. It seems like the whole neighborhood's there. There's that whole sequence where all of his family and neighbors seem to come up. And can you talk a little bit about? Like, what is the role of or the place and space of baseball in the Dominican Republic and in the life of young men coming up in the Dominican Republic, and how does the film capture that?
Well, baseball is huge in the Dominican Republic. Baseball, for most of the fathers, is like a ticket out of poverty. Like if they have a boy, like the first thing they do is like the first gift would be a ball, a bat, because they want to have his son like interested in baseball, Right. And everybody, I think everybody in the DR like has somebody like a brother, a neighbor. Anybody playing baseball, like, so everybody in DR I think is familiar with this story with Sugar. Right. In baseball, like I said before, it's like a ticket out of poverty. Like that's how parents see it. The only thing is that a lot of young guys they stop going to school so they can dedicate 100% to play ball. Right. And that's the problem. Right. If you see in the movie, like when he said that he was signed when he was 16 years old. Right. And then he's like asking questions because he already having doubts in his head. Like, what am I gonna do if I don't play baseball? He's asking this guy like, what do you do if you don't play baseball? Right. And he's like, oh, I could be a teacher, I could be this. He has so many options. And on top of that, he received $1 million bonus to sign. Right. So Miguel characters got $15,000. It's a huge difference. Yeah. And then he thinking like, okay, now I'm hurt. What am I gonna do? My friend, he's been released. Right. What am I gonna do? Because in his head, it's like, I have my family in the Dominican Republic, and they're counting on me. If I don't play, what am I gonna do? So he's having this conversation with this other character, and he's like trying to find out like what I can do. But it's like, it's different from here because for you to play baseball, you have to be in school. You have to be in school so you can be drafted.
Right. Okay.
You know, that's not. It's not like that in Dominican Republic. So the problem is, that when I used to play ball, when I was in school, if a teacher would ask me like, "Oh, what you gonna do when you grow up?" I would say I'm gonna be a baseball player. I never had a second thought that I was gonna be a doctor or something like that because I knew I was gonna be a baseball player. Right. But I was lucky that I had my parents. They were they were focused on us. Like on us like that we had to go to school. Right. And then play ball. In case that doesn't happen, we had a plan B. To fall back. A lot of guys in the Dominican Republic, they don't have that. They don't go to school. They don't prepare themselves like for life. They just prepare for baseball. And then when baseball doesn't happen, then they're like in the limbo.
Right. And you've now chosen the very secure career of becoming an actor in Hollywood. How has that journey been like? I mean, you're now part of the Marvel universe. You starred as Atlas in Captain Marvel, which was also directed by Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck, and so and now you're pursuing your big screen career. How did you make that journey from Sugar to the Marvel universe and where you are now?
I mean, it's been crazy. It's been a long journey, and. From Sugar, then I was here. I used to live in Boston before, and then I used to be there, like working on anything, because you have to pay the bills. And then after that, I got the opportunity to work in a film in Dominican Republic. Then after that, that film has never been released. It's actually we finished the film the other day, and in 2016, I worked in 2 films, like one after the other one. Right. Those films were like went to Tribeca Film Festivals, like in festivals like all over the world. So I was just like, like wishing that I would do something like Sugar, so I could come back to United States, with better English and a movie that I can show to people, like, listen, this is what I've done. I want to be here. Like, I want to try to be an actor here. Right. So it's been working pretty good. I had the opportunity to be in Captain Marvel. I remember when Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck, I invited them to Tribeca because my movie, I have a movie called Samba. It's a movie about boxing. And when they saw the movie, she texted me saying, like, are you a boxer now? Because, she thought that I looked like a boxer. So that was like a compliment for me because I never boxed before. So that was my first time doing that. And when they saw the movie, then one day I just received an email from someone from Marvel, like asking me if I was gonna, like, if I had time to do an audition. So I sent a couple of tapes, self-tapes, and one day I received another email saying, like, congratulations, are you gonna have time, like, for next summer for this? And it was crazy. Like, I just couldn't believe it that I was gonna be part of that. Like, something that you see on TV, like with actors that you only see on TV. Samuel Jackson, Jude Law, and all those guys. It's like I'm gonna be when I was reading the script on the table, it was like I'm just looking at these guys like I can't believe I'm sitting here with these people.
Well, I think Sugar is one of the best American films of the last 20, 30 years. So I think you've got classic American independent cinema and then like a tentpole Hollywood film on your resume already, which is pretty impressive. So I have one more question, then we'll turn it over to the audience. One of the things that this series overall is focusing on, as American Neorealism, one of the things that connects all the films is the use of non-professional actors. And one of the things that I think many filmmakers, they look for first-time actors or non-professional people to play certain roles is because they want a kind of authenticity, they want a kind of honesty in their performances. I'm curious if you deliver that on screen in your performance, but I'm curious if you had any notes for Anna and Ryan about their depiction of the Dominican Republic, or your understanding of people you knew who went through the baseball, like that journey. Did you have any sort of comments to them about, like, any notes for them, like, this is how we do it here, or this is how I think you should shoot it this way? I'm not saying that you would tell them what to do, but did you have any sort of ideas on how they were representing your community in the film?
Yeah, there were a few parts that when I read the script, first of all, like when I read the script, I was like, wow, this is the real story. Like, this is what happens here for real.
Right.
And I really thought that the script was written by Dominican people because the script was so perfect.
Right.
But I was telling them, like, minor things, like words that I wouldn't say, like, and I would tell them, like, listen, I would say this instead of this, and they were very open about it, like, like, yeah, just let us know, like, if you see anything that it wouldn't look normal to you as a baseball player from Dominican Republic, just let us know. Right. And we are gonna change that. So yeah, they were very open about that.
That's great. So if you have a question from the audience, just raise your hand and we'll bring a mic over to you if anyone has a question. So we can bring a mic down over here. Coming right behind you.
Howdy. Did you know any minor league players from where you were growing up? Players that were in like how your character
Yes.
ends up in the single A's. Did you know anybody like that?
Yeah, of course. Like, I think everyone in the Dominican Republic, and I think some of these countries like Cuba, Venezuela, Puerto Rico, they know someone that knows someone, that know this story. Like, I never signed to play professional. I was on the level, like, to do tryouts and all that, but I knew this story because of all the guys, that had been through it. Like, this guy, he signed, now he's living in New York, he's living in Miami, he's working on a factory, that's a very well-known story in my country. Like, everyone know Miguel Santos characters in other players that have been through it.
Did you talk with any of those people, the people that you may have known, in preparing for the role? Did you sort of sit down and try and get any stories from them, or
No,
ideas?
I didn't, because the script was so perfect, like I said before, and I already knew this story. Like so many guys, that signed, went on the trip, and never came back, or came back when they were released, and now they're living in the country, in town, doing something else. So what I do is, like, when they know they're not playing well,
Right.
they leave.
Right.
They leave like he did. They leave, they go to New York, they do something else, but they stay here because they feel they have way more opportunities, like to send money to their family, or to, opportunities to do whatever you want to do. Right. You have more opportunities here, like doing any kind of work.
That was my understanding. Like, my understanding is that Anna and Ryan had a very different ending for the film until their research told them that it's very, very common for players to not wait until they're released, but to leave the teams during the season, and then try and start their life over,
Yes.
somewhere else in the States. I'm curious. Was this ending always in the script that you read, or did the ending change over the course of the film, or was that ending in the script that you read at the beginning?
To be honest, I don't really remember. Like, I knew that we were at a field in New York, like playing ball again, But I remember that we had the conversation, like, listen, this is what we want for this ending, like, this is the part where you take a moment, like, to think about what it was, what could have been, and what you have in front of you now, like, this is your reality now. Like, so we want to see that, like, in in your eyes, in your thoughts, you know. And we tried a couple of times, and they liked it that way. So yeah, when I saw the movie and I saw the ending, I liked it myself.
Any other questions from the audience over here on this side?
This is the second time I've seen this film. I saw it back in 2008, and I'm a huge baseball fan, but tonight it was interesting because I kind of saw the exploitation, and I don't know if that was something that you want us to see. It's like the exploitation of these impoverished young boys and, yeah, not finishing school. And it just kind of made me take a look at baseball a different way, because we spend a lot of money when we go see a game, and we're always really, really like, oh, look, he's 19 and he made it to the big leagues. But when you think about that, that person was probably drafted at 14 or something, right? And I don't know, just a comment. And you're great.
Thank
And
you. I
it's a
appreciate that. And
beautiful,
thank you
beautiful
for coming
movie.
to see the movie for the second time.
Well, I did go to the Dominican Republic also, and we were in a resort, and there were a lot of American kids at some baseball camp or
Yes.
something. Yeah, lots of kids there this summer. Like, oh yeah, baseball. It's interesting.
When the film played in the Dominican Republic, did it have a kind of, I mean, what kind of impact did it have on the audiences or the people that have seen the film that you've maybe spoken to back home or, you know, in the Dominican Republic who've seen the film, in terms of the lessons it might say or it might impart to younger people who want to get into baseball, but also this idea that, you know, there's some exploitation going on here. It's not, you know.
You know that for a lot of people, like, especially like the young guys like coming up, they see the movie and it's like, oh, so that how it is, you know, like, because many of them know the story like from other players, but you know, you never think that's gonna happen to you.
Sure.
You always believe like you're gonna make it. You always believe that you're gonna be another Pedro Martinez, another Fernando Tatis Jr., like another big name, you know. And when they see the movie, it's like, oh, I don't want to be washing dishes. Like, I don't want to be in the United States like washing dishes. I don't do that here, so I don't want to go there or do it there, you know. Right. So that's when you have to prepare yourself for life, study, like get a backup plan. If baseball doesn't happen, like my brother, he used to play baseball before. Now he's a doctor.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Thanks to the Lord, I'm an actor now.
Right.
You know, like, but that doesn't happen every day.
Right.
You know, so your best bet is if you go to school.
Right.
Go to school. And what you were saying about the exploitation, you saw the guy that he said, he was signed for $1 million. And then Miguel Santa, he was signed for $15,000. And the manager, the guy that prepared him, take 40%.
Yeah.
So he's only taking 60%. He's not only taking the $15,000, you know, and then like when the guy is teaching him like how to throw the curveball, he's telling, this other guy, he's Salvador, they're asking for $100,000. He said like, oh, that's a lot of money. Like, no, it's not a lot of money, because when you draft people here, the guys, you know, you give them $1 million, you give them like hundreds of thousands of dollars, you know, if they're good. So if they're good in DR, like, give them the money they deserve, you know. And they're doing that now. They're doing like there's like this July 2nd thing, you know, like when kids, like when they're really ready, they're giving a lot of money like to the good talents, you know. It's improving now from it was years ago.
And another thing that I noticed too is at the end, it was great to see that it looked like you were playing for fun. Got back, you know, at the beginning how they said it's the same game, just have some fun, have some fun, but you weren't having any fun when you were professional. and and then at the end you're like, okay, I can play this game now for fun.
Yes.
That touched me.
At
today.
the end, he was doing it for fun because there was not another option. Like you play for fun or don't play it because you're not professional.
I feel that way
professional
sometimes about
anymore.
acting. It's like when it's not fun anymore, you don't want to do it. But when it's fun, it's like it's good, right?
Well, the thing that I think is so striking about the ending is, especially when all the players sort of introduce themselves, all of a sudden we've been following Sugar's story and as the classic sort of hero of the film, and then we realize there are a lot of people who've had this experience. That it opens up this wider and the way the sport itself, they're playing it for fun, but baseball then allows them to create a community around the sport in this new place that they're trying to rebuild their lives. The sport gives them a chance to create like connections with other people, which is what's so amazing about that final sequence.
When I used to play softball in the summer in Boston, in New York, there are so many guys, with so much talent. They used to play baseball. Now they're doing any kind of job. And they're playing ball on Sundays, in the weekends, right. and you see that like everywhere, everywhere. Now when I see this movie, and I see all these guys, it's like, wow, all of those are Sugars. All of those are like, this movie is about all of these guys, that are doing something different right now. A lot of people were saying like, oh, why didn't he make it? Like they wanted a different ending. Like, people were expecting like at the end of the film, there's got to be a scout there, seeing him pitch, and they're going to take him back and he's going to be in the Yankee Stadium, like striking out Derek Jeter, like that. No, that's not going to happen. The movie, we're talking about this movie right now because that didn't happen. Right. If that would have happened, that Hollywood ending, right. We wouldn't have been here, sitting here right now talking about that film, because that was going to be like, oh, okay, we knew that was going to happen. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But then when the movie ends and you see that, oh, what happens to him? Right. It's like, right. Yeah, that's reality happens to him.
I would say that we probably, even if it had that ending, we'd probably still be talking about the film because of your performance, which I think is really, really powerful. So, but yeah, I agree. One more question from the audience, and then I think we're going to wrap it up. In the back behind you.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I agree.
Hi. Congratulations on your performance. It was so on point, and you gave me such a good vibe about being a baseball player that before the movie started outside, I said, you're going to be the Roberto Duran of baseball.
Oh, thank you.
Now I'm going to change that. You're going to be, and you are the Roberto Duran of acting.
Thank you.
I came to see Sugar, and the whole time, before coming to see the movie, and during the beginning of the movie, you were so great that I thought it was a documentary. Yeah, and I turned to my friend and I said, is this a documentary?
Thank you, yeah.
And at one moment, because of the other actors, I realized, yeah, it is a movie. Yeah. She's right. Yeah. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. I appreciate
so glad I
it.
came to
I
see
appreciate your comment.
I'm so glad she brought me to see it.
Great. Thank you for bringing her.
Felicidades.
Appreciate it.
Well, Algenis, I want to thank you so much for coming out and taking the time to be with us tonight. It was really great.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much.
It's an honor for me to be here, and thank you guys again, for coming out of your house to come see the movie. Thank you. I really appreciate it, and it's an honor for me to be here sharing this with you. Thank you.
We're going to take about a 10-minute intermission, and then we'll come back for On the Seventh Day. Thank you.